guys, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today for this mid-monthly reading for the month of November 2017. Can't believe that we're already halfway through the month of November and nearly at the end of the year. It's amazing. So for this mid-monthly reading today, I will be pulling 3 cards from these 2 decks that you see here. The Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron-Reid, and I'll be using that deck to take a look at the area of love and romance. And then I'll be pulling another 3 cards from the Good Tarot deck, also by Colette Baron-Reid, focusing on the career and finance portion of the reading. For those of you who haven't already taken a look at the monthlies for November, please do. They're already posted. They have been posted on my channel. And the monthly reading is really, it's a very general overview of the energy surrounding each sign for the month. This mid-monthly reading is really more focused on these 2 specific areas. Okay, so if you're interested in just a more general reading, then I'd encourage you to take a look at the, the monthly reading for November. Also, another thing that I would encourage you to do is to watch not just the video for your sun sign, but also for your moon sign and your rising sign. Obviously these are general readings for everybody, so the messages may or may not resonate with you. But when you watch, all 3 videos, they really come together very nicely and sort of offer a more holistic, a very complete, or at least more complete overview of what's going on or the energy surrounding you during that time period. So I would encourage you to do that. If you would, however, like a more personalized reading, right, to focus specifically on something that is going on in your life right now, a decision that you might be looking to make, then you would really need a personalized reading, a private reading with me. If you're interested in that, you can take a look at my site, which is changingphasestarot.weebly.com. You'll find information about the types of readings that I offer there and pricing. You can also send me an email, changingphasestarot@gmail.com. And I also would encourage you to join me on Facebook. That way you can send me messages a little easier on there. It's Changing Phases Tarot Readings is my page on Facebook. Right, so let's get started. I will see you in 1 second after the shuffle. Bye for now. Hi, Leo. I'm here to do your mid-monthly reading for November, starting off with the career and finance portion of the reading. I have been shuffling and meditating off camera, so I'll just do a few more shuffles here. Oops. Okay, Spirit, what messages does the fire sign Leo need to know mid-month, November, in the area of career and finance? Please show me the messages for career and finance for Leo, mid-month November 2017. What does Leo need to know in the area of career and finances? Oops. Career and finances, mid-month November. For the fire sign Leo, what does Leo need to know? All right, so we have, show you the cards, the 3 of air in the past position. This would be the 3 of swords in the traditional deck. We have transformation, which is major arcana, right? Card number 13 in the present position. And we have card number 12, also major arcana, hanged man. Okay, this is in the future energy. And the overall energy at the bottom of the deck for the 2-week period, we have the page of air. Okay. Now let me shuffle for the romance and love portion of the reading. The Spirit, what messages does Leo need to hear for love and romance mid-month November 2017? Please show us the messages for love and romance for Leo mid-month November. What does Leo need to hear? Okay, so the card that came out in the past position, we have Loyal Heart. In the present position, we have card number 7, To the Sea. And in the future position, we have All That Glitters, card number 16. And the card at the bottom of the deck, so the overall energy for the last 2 weeks, we have card number 43, Deep Knowing. Okay. All right, give me 1 second to set the cards up so we can see them a little better, and I'll be right back with the reading. Okay, Leo, so after while I was setting up the cards, I kept looking at these 2 cards in particular, and I decided to pull some just some clarifiers to give us a better idea of the energy surrounding these 2. So I'll get to that. So I'll begin with the career and finance portion of the reading using the Good Tarot, and we have as the overall energy for the upcoming or the last 2 weeks of November the Page of Air. Now, the air suit in the tarot, this would be the swords in the traditional deck. It's cerebral energy, right? It's all about the way we think, where our thoughts could lead us, the results of the thinking, right? So it's all about our mind, our thoughts, our attitudes, our subconscious. Remembering that our thoughts are very powerful, can be very powerful, and if we plant positive thoughts, positive seeds, then positive flowers and results can bloom. If we do the opposite, then we can't really expect positive results from planting negative thoughts. So just from remembering that our thoughts can be very important, right? Can be very powerful. I mean, so we have the Page of Air. The Page of Swords is generally this could be a person. But I really feel as that when the court cards appear, they can represent people that we'll be dealing with over the next 2 weeks. It could be events or just you taking on this energy. And I really feel it's more like energy kind of surrounding you over the next 2 weeks. If it were a person, this would typically be it's young energy, so a younger air sign person, so a younger Libra, or Aquarius, or Gemini. Doesn't necessarily have to be, though, and it's not at all gender specific, right, in this general reading. So if it is a person, this would typically be somebody who, is, brings in new ideas, somebody who is quite curious about things, right, would like to, maybe has a great idea, but hasn't actually acted on it yet, right, so it's that type of younger kind of energy, somebody who's very curious about things. If it's a person, if it's just sort of an energy surrounding you, then typically it does have to do with communication, communication that has to do with using our intellect to sort of solve problems, deal with conflicts, so it's that kind of energy. So this could be you using your intellect, right? Taking on this energy of the Page of Air and using your intellect to resolve a certain situation over the next 2 weeks. And the cards that I pulled as clarifiers, we have another air card, right? Another sword. So the Ace of Swords, followed by the Eight of Cups and the Knight of Wands. Okay, let me show you those. So we have the 3 cards, the Ace of Swords, which is a card that is all about mental clarity, right? Truth, followed by the Eight of Cups, which is walking away from something or a situation that no longer serves you, right, that is emotionally unfulfilling for you. And then we have the Knight of Wands, which would be the knight of the knight that brings in, he's the fastest sort of moving of all of the knights. Typically, so if it's a person, then this, we usually think he's sort of a middle-aged fire sign. You yourself are a fire sign. But it's very fast moving. Since it's fire, right, it's fast moving energy. So news coming in about something. So I think that whatever it is that you're dealing with, right, with this page of air, I feel like there's truth to be to be found out, or you could have already found out this truth. You're walking away from something that no longer serves you, but there's something new coming in here. Okay, there's news coming in. Let's move on to the other cards and see how this all kind of ties together. So in the past position, we had the Three of Swords. It's called the Three of Air in this deck. So the Three of Swords is a card that in a romantic reading, right, in a romance reading, it would generally have to do with heartache, sorrow, heartbreak, could possibly represent a third person in a relationship. But in a career, in a more general sense, it has to do with some type of setback, some type of disappointment, something that you weren't happy about, and it did kind of come out in the clarifiers as well, because we had clarifying it the Ten of Swords, which is more air energy, and this is a completion of a cycle. Does have to do with, as you can see here, being stabbed in the back, so some type of betrayal that kind of ties in with this also being in the past position. So there might have been, in the work environment, there might have been somebody who did something, to betray you. Maybe it had to do with, going up for a job, and the other person did something to in some way hinder you. And we have the Devil in the middle position, which is major arcana, but it has to do with, unhealthy ties, being tied to, some type of unhealthy relationship or situation. But we have the Fool, another major arcana, coming up in the future position. So I feel, the energy that I get from these cards here, whatever happened in the past, right, whatever setback or negative sort of situation or thing that occurred with you in the past, you're moving on, right? You have the Fool, which is all about wonderful new beginnings. So you're definitely moving on here, right, into better things, which is kind of, echoed by this middle card here. But we'll get to that one in a second. So, sometimes this could be with the Three of Swords or the Three of Air. It's kind of, could be a third party coming in, so another person coming in, but to help you see the truth in a situation, right? Because again, the air energy, it does have to do with, it's our thoughts, it's communication. So this could have been somebody else coming in to open your eyes to something, right? And sometimes if this was a job or promotion or position, then it's kind of like you getting turned down for that position, but ultimately it was in your best interest kind of not to get it, because you have other things, more important, better things awaiting you, okay? Which leads us to the middle position here. So this would be the present, or, obviously present is, sorry, the computer's making noise here. The present is time is malleable, right? So whenever you hear this, it's kind of when you were supposed to hear it. And this card is called Transformation, Change. It's a major arcana. This would be the Death card in the traditional tarot deck. And so we know that, you have the Death card here. You have the Fool sort of in the clarifiers right next to it. So it's all about cycles, right? And understanding that nothing remains the same, that in life and, in our careers, we kind of go through cycles, right? Maybe when we're in our 20s, the type of position that we thought was, the perfect job for us, the career that we thought was the perfect career for us. by the time we reach our 30s, we see that, okay, maybe that's not what I want for myself right now. I'm in a different place in my life. So I'm want to change careers and move into something that will suit me better. And by the time we get to our 40s, same thing. We could see that the position that was wonderful during our 30s just isn't serving us anymore, right? We just don't feel emotionally fulfilled in that position anymore. And so we're moving on. We're moving on to something different. So it's about cycles of birth and death and rebirth and transitioning into something else. But we know that in order for something new to begin, and we see that this is beautiful, the girl on the card, she's kind of has this fire in her hand. It's like the phoenix uprising from the ashes, right? So being reborn. In order for something new to be reborn or a new cycle to begin, something has to end, right? And that's why it's the death card, because things need to end, a situation or a job, something needs to end in order for something better to begin. Okay, so that's kind of where, so I feel like you're sort of in between two things right now, right? You're poised and ready and waiting for something to begin, something new to begin. And I that's also kind of shown here with the outbound energy, which is it's the Hanged Man, right? And this is an energy which is all about obviously waiting, right? But it's also about surrendering, okay? And at times in our life, we're asked to wait. Maybe it's not the right time. There's divine timing, divine orchestration at play here. So even though we might feel as if, okay, we've changed, we've left, something behind in the past, we're ready to move on. This is kind of spirit saying, hold on, wait, see things from a different perspective, okay? There might be some type of delay, but it's a necessary delay, okay? It's time for us to, let go of certain things. It's time for us to, see things from a different perspective, point of view, analyze things before we move on, and really surrender, give in to this divine timing and needing to wait to really allow things to play out. And these, so the three cards that I pulled as clarifiers on the Hangman, we have the Six of Swords, which is, in the past position here. And this deals with, it's another card of transition. So we have, this card right here. We have the Six of Swords, which is about leaving, typically leaving sort of choppy waters, a difficult situation in the past, and moving into calmer waters. In the traditional tarot deck, there's a woman in a boat, and she's sort of sailing. She has her back turned, sailing from choppy waters into calmer waters. So whatever conflict was you might have experienced in the past, you're moving towards something that's better. The waiting is, mirrored or echoed with the Temperance card. Again, talking about divine timing, divine orchestration, the butterflies symbolizing rebirth, flying around the beautiful woman here, right? Just and there's we see the cup, but she's pouring. She has fire and water that she's dealing with. So it's all about finding that balance, having having or waiting for divine timing for something to happen, right? But new things are definitely coming in, right? We have the rebirth, the new things. So in the career situation, this could be you moving into a new career. And I see that with the Page of Cups here. Even though this is Cups energy, which traditionally, we think of it as emotions and feelings and new offerings of love. And the page would be, could be a younger water sign bringing in this new offer. In the focusing on our career and finances, this could be a new offer coming in, okay? But we just need to wait. You're leaving behind something. You just need to wait a little bit. But there's a new offer coming in. So, this might not come to fruition during or over the next 2 weeks. This might, as this is the outbound energy, it's showing that things are progressing and beginning to change over the next 2 weeks. But this looks like it, it could happen sort of more into December, but definitely, an offering coming in with this Page of Cups there, right? So it's all about beginnings, usually, a very sort of happy, kind of something that's going to be great happiness to you in the career sense. This could be a new offer of a job. So if you have been um, applying for positions, and with this, so as the outbound, with the clarifiers, the outbound energy here and that one over there, I would say there could definitely be new, and the full, the three cards in the sort of the future position of the clarifiers, it's all about new things, right? New offers, new things. It could definitely be a new offer of, a career, so a new job, something that's going to be very fulfilling, and it's going to be much better for you today, the person who you are today, than whatever the old job or whatever you have been doing up until this point. So change, but very positive change coming in for you, Leo. I like that. Now, moving on to the oracle cards, which I use for the love and relationship portion of the reading, we have card number 43, Deep Knowing. That is our overall energy for the last 2 weeks of November. So this is a card that it deals with intuition. We see there's a huge full moon, right, on the card, and so we know that the moon, it's all about hidden things, and when the moon appears, it really tells us to pay attention to our intuition, right? Listen to that voice, that oracle, the voice, the divine, your higher self, the messages within, right? And in a relationship reading, it just kind of reminds us that, we know, right? There are times when you just know, when you meet somebody and it's like instantly you know, there's a deep inner knowing that that person is somehow going to, be very important, play a very meaningful role in your life. So, this could be somebody coming into your life, crossing your path, right? And then it's like, boom, out of nowhere, you're just kind of connected, right, to that person. And you can't really describe it. It just feels like, the person was meant to come into your life. The person was meant to be there. So it's a card that asks us to, listen to your intuition, listen to our intuition about this new person. So if you do meet somebody new over the next 2 weeks, if you're not already, partnered in a relationship, pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to messages, sort of these flashes of insight, messages that might come to you at night while you're sleeping, right? Dreams. All of those things are very important. But there's something, there's a very deep connection to whoever might be coming into your life over the next couple of weeks. Let's see how that plays out here. We have, in the past position, the Loyal Heart card. This is card number 35. And it's a card, as the name suggests, it has to do with loyalty. It has to do with devotion, right? Fidelity, and being loyal. But, what is this loyalty? This could be, yes, being loyal, being very honest and faithful to someone else, okay? Or it could be somebody else being loyal with you. But it's also about, being sort of true, being loyal and true to yourself, right? So if you meet somebody else, it's about, really being that authentic version of yourself when you meet that person. And looking at the two owls here, it kind of makes me feel that, it's that soulmate connection, right? It's that somebody finding or meeting somebody who really mirrors who we are and seeing ourselves in the other person, which many times, when we do enter into this soulmate kind of relationship, that's what many times happens, right? And it's not always easy. These soulmate relationships are not always the easiest of things to deal with, because sometimes it can be quite difficult to face yourself, right? To really see yourself in somebody else, because then, if we see the negative parts of our personalities kind of mirrored back at us, that's not always the easiest thing to deal with. So, a lot of times the soulmate kind of fated karmic relationships, they are difficult, right? Then many times we are brought into that person's life to help teach them a karmic lesson, or, to help them progress on their spiritual journey. And many times, they are asked to do the same, right? So it has to do with, yes, being very loyal, but also about, being that true, authentic version of yourself. Now, what we have in the middle position, so the present, we have card number 7, which is To the Sea, is what it's called, okay? And the To the Sea card, it's a card that means, it's about kind of the natural flow of things, about being in tune, or kind of going with the flow, allowing things to kind of progress very naturally. So if this is, meeting somebody else, it's asking you to kind of, allow yourself to go with the flow, allow yourself to, or just realizing, understanding, accepting that you are exactly where you're meant to be right now. So if this is a relationship, if you are in a relationship, right, and with the loyal heart card, you could be in this already in a very, sort of serious and loving, loyal relationship. It's just asking you to sort of trust in that as you move forward. And so, many times when you are in a relationship, there are points, there are moments where you have to decide, are you going to just kind of allow the relationship to flow along, to run its course, to, allow, kind of sit back and wait and see where this emotional journey leads you, right? Or, do you need to sort of do something, or do you need to take some type of action, right? And it's really asking you or encouraging you to, to kind of go with the flow right now, right? Give the relationship the time that it needs, right? And kind of see where it takes you, right? Be open. Be very open to what's happening right now within the relationship. And what we have in the future position is card number 16, and that card is called All That Glitters. Now, this card means that it's kind of interesting because it's a call to really see, or that need to see beyond the superficial, right? And it kind of asks you or encourages you. You see that there are masks here, right? But the actual face of the person is up there. So it's asking you, to take off, not to try to put on a disguise, or try to, wear a mask to cover, or to portray yourself as something that you really are not, right? And, as the title, the name of the card suggests, all that glitters is not gold. So many times, if you try to portray yourself in a certain way, but that's really not who you are, right, your authentic self, that can become a problem in a relationship, right? Or if you're meeting a new person, trying to, come off a certain way to maybe impress that person, or pretend to be something that you really are not. That's not, Spirit here is saying that that's not what you need to do. You need to be authentic, right? You need to really be that authentic version of yourself, right? And when people see that, and when they see that you are really, being true to yourself, then they're much more willing to be, open to accepting you and getting to know you. I mean, there are times that, there are times in life that we might be called to, or we might need to embellish a little bit, right? We might need to add certain dramatic kind of elements into a story, right? Or maybe, I know this is a relationship reading, but thinking about, in a career, you go to a job interview. No, you don't lie, but, you do need to maybe wear that mask, try to sell yourself, right? Maybe you don't have exactly all the experience that they're looking for, but you need to embellish to really, make yourself, or make them see, the person shining, or the person behind that mask, see who you really are, right? So sometimes it's necessary. And if you are in a relationship, right, if you're with somebody, so this could be again, in a general reading, there can be many different meanings for this. But if you are in a relationship with somebody, it's asking you, it's saying that kind of look and really try to find the value, or acknowledge and value somebody for who they really are, right? Many people can, we can meet somebody who is all glittery, appears wonderful, and, comes across as being Mr. or Miss Right. But then once you get that mask off and you see beneath the mask, that person really is not gold, right? That person just is not that wonderful. On the other hand, you might have somebody who, the mask, or who they come across as is kind of like, it's okay. But underneath, they might be this beautiful mountain of gold shining underneath, right? So they might have a beautiful heart. They might be that, that wonderful person beneath the mask. So, many times this card is sort of saying, see beyond the glitter, right? Try to find that inner glow. You see the face here on the card is really glowing. So look deep down, right? See who that person really is. Look for that authentic glow of the person. Yeah. And it's, again, we have this being authentic. We have this card, which also has to do with being authentic. Then we have the deep knowing card, which tells you to really, tap into your inner knowledge, right? Listen to that inner voice. So if you are in a relationship, I would say that it's just, asking for you to really value the person, right, for who he or she is, be authentic, value the authenticity of that person. And if you're meeting somebody, if you're not partnered and you end up meeting somebody, it's asking you to, trust in your intuition, trust in that deep knowing when you meet somebody, right? See them for who they really are. Be authentic, right? And tap into the authenticity of that person. And, just know that, all that glitters is not gold, but there might be people, who do have this beautiful glowing, soul underneath the outer shell. So, we just need to trust in our inner voice, trust in the deep knowing as we kind of evaluate that. So an interesting reading for the love and romance. I think the on the career front, it's kind of more straightforward. It's a deeper reading, I feel, for you. So please leave me, feel free to leave a message in the comment section. I'd love to hear how this plays out for you. Know that I'm wishing you a wonderful month of November. For those of you who live here in the U.S. and will be celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope that it's a wonderful time spent with friends and family. And be looking out for the December readings. I'll be posting the December general readings at the beginning of December. And I will also put out an extra reading during the month of December, which will be the 2018 overview, kind of giving an overview for the upcoming year. So be looking out for that as well. And know that I'm sending you much peace, love, and light. Bye, Leo.